Okay, now, Lewis Pullman, sweetie. I was always familiar with your game. I was always familiar with your game. I was familiar. Just get that on record. I knew. I tell you what, having a dog is. Cause hush, okay? He can't stand when I'm talking or doing something that don't involve him. Be quiet. Anyway, I don't even think it's been 12 hours. But it's so nice to see you again. And just a reminder, my name is Trabrille. Let's do our best to not forget that, okay? That's my dog. He's mad that the attention is not on him. It's fine. He's okay. I swear. And welcome back. I feel like I've said that a million times to Trabrille and the Dailies as we talk about what? Acting and more. And as promised, I told y'all we was going to talk about Thunderbolts because I saw Thunderbolts yesterday and it was not what I expected it to be. Now, I don't claim to be like this Marvel super fan. I have seen all of the movies. I have. I've seen them all. Um, the TV shows as well. I've seen them all. But I don't pretend to know everything because I don't. There's a lot of shit that I'd be like, what? Excuse me? Who's that? What are we doing here? What do they do? Part do they play in all of this madness? Okay? So yeah, let's get into it because that's what we like to do. Okay. Now, it dawned on me because, mostly because, um, it's what I've been seeing all on TikTok. Was not aware that it was Mental Health Awareness Month. And goodness gracious, was it the perfect time to release this movie? I don't know what I was expecting. And I stated earlier that I did a really good job at avoiding spoilers. I did know that maybe there would be some mention of mental health. I did not know to what extent. So it surprised me at how it was executed in the film. It basically being the entire theme of the movie. Like I said, I'm not aware of a lot of these characters. Of course, I know Bucky, and I am we know, and there's mention of all these other characters. I had no clue. I don't even know how the Thunderbolts came about in the comics. Like I said, I'm not a comic book girl, so I don't really know. But it was a very interesting watch. I cried a lot, and I mean, right out the gate, I'm a crybaby, so that's what I'm gonna do. I love to cry. Um, a water bag through and through, and even starting with Yelena and that opening scene. Oh my god! Right off the bat, I love how transparent everything is and everyone is with their struggles with mental health. Um, so very important that she was very open about her struggles with loneliness, not liking it. A lot of people struggle so bad with just admitting that they don't like to be alone. And it's a very hard thing to admit, especially in the climate that we're in. It's very hard. So, to 1 second. And I think Florence, oh my goodness, the greatness that is Florence Pugh. Um, I loved her before this film. I swear to you, I did. Um, I love her in everything that she's in. I am a huge fan of Florence Pugh. Okay, and I can only imagine how difficult it is to step into a character that is struggling so bad internally. It takes a lot of mental preparedness, because a lot of times a role can bring some shit out of you, some shit you damn near didn't even know you had bottled up. I remember being in school studying acting and did not realize that a lot of my classes were really gonna be like therapy sessions. I was like, baby, this is not what I signed up for. And the teacher would be like, it's exactly what you signed up for. We about to talk about some shit. We about to tackle some shit. I and that is why I'm a waterback. Now, to be fair, I've always been a crybaby. But I did a lot of holding it in, sucking it up until I went to school for acting. And when I tell you I just be crying, you can't pay me to hold it in. I don't know how to. My body is like, nah, girl, let it out. Let it out, girl. There's, oh my gosh, the one line that sticks out to me the most in that entire movie is when Yelena looks at Alexei and she goes, Daddy, I'm so alone. Why would you say that? You know what I mean? It was like I made the ugliest face anybody could make when they're crying. And I think I literally had to put my hand over my mouth to stop. Because a lot of shit hit home. A lot of shit hit home. You know what I'm saying? Some of us have daddy issues. Okay? And I think the most important, not the most important, one of the most important things was Alexi's response to that. A lot of the times, you just got to let people tell you their feelings and not try to talk over them and not try to justify whatever actions that you took. Let them talk. Let them talk. Okay? Then you come in. Okay, yes. I did this. I did that. But I'm here now. What I feel like that scene was just so important, especially to a person who struggles with a relationship, and it doesn't have to be father daughter type shit. It could go either way. And I think David Harbour did such a good job with that role and keeping him comedic, but also knowing when to be serious, when to be a father, when to be a protector. I love David Harbour. I met David Harbour once. I said I was going to tell you about the time I met David Harbour. I did meet David Harbour. David Harbour. I was. This is when I was in the military, and I think it was like, it's like a company that Adam Driver. Adam Driver was a Marine, and I think he has this company. I don't know if it's still. I don't know if he still. They go around to do it, but I think it was his company, and so they would just gather a handful of actors, and they would go around to the different bases, and they would just put on a stage reading, and then afterwards, you were able to meet the actors that came and take photos with them. And the actors that came that day was Jimmy Simpson. I love him. I adore him. Taye Diggs, which I thought my family would really fuck with. I was like, they gonna love this shit back home. David Harbour and Frances McConroy. And this was during a time where I had fallen in love with my first name, which, remember, it's Trabrille. Don't you forget that. But prior to that, I had always introduced myself as like a nickname, because I was just over the explanations and the commentary. I was just over it. But at that time, I had fallen in love with my name again. Well, for the first time, I had fallen in love with my name, and I had told myself, with a name like this, I gotta be somebody. So I gotta start acting like it. But also, because it was the beginnings of me falling in love with my name, I would give disclaimers to people. And so Jimmy Simpson was the first person that I met because I just went down on the line. I remember going. I walked up to him. He asked, how I was doing, and I said this. I said I was good. He asked him how he was doing, type, and he asked me my name, and I gave him a disclaimer. I was like, yeah, just to start off or whatever. A lot of people do say my name. It is an uncommon name. And a lot of people, they kind of act like they act like it's such a difficult name to say. And he looked at me, and his eyes squinted, and this is Jimmy Simpson. I love that man. He's so sweet, like this. And he goes, "What's your name?" And I go, "Trabrille." And he looks at me, and he goes, "Trabrille." And I'm a suck. And I wholeheartedly to this day, I believe my name is a very simple name. Like, it's so easy to say, mostly if you're familiar with the English alphabet. I feel like it's literally all you gotta do is sound it out. It's not that crazy. And I understand upon hearing it, upon seeing it, you're like, whoa, that's different. But it's literally pronounced how you spell it. And it's so easy to say. But like I said then, he was like, that's easy. It's not a difficult name. And he pulled me in, and he gave me a big old hug. And he's one of those people that hugs with his entire body. And if you've met those people, they are the best people. They give the best hugs. I needed that hug. I ain't know I needed it, but I needed it. And it was such a good hug. He was so nice, so sweet. Manifesting to meet him again one day on set. Maybe even a line or two. You know what I mean? It's like, and then I did meet Tay Diggs. I did get a picture with Jimmy Simpson somewhere on social media. Somewhere on my phone. I did meet Tay Diggs. I did not get a picture with him. My phone was, I needed an upgrade, and my phone was like when it came to taking pictures, it was just not good. I had to check multiple times, and he just wasn't with it. He was like, all right, girl, bye. He was cool though. And then I met David Harper, and this was like peak Stranger Things. Season 1 had already dropped, and everybody was going crazy, and everybody was loving Harper. So I knew the homies was gonna eat that shit up. I knew they was gonna eat it up. I was like, I gotta get this. Walked up to him. He shook my hand, said hi, asked me how I was doing. I said it back. He introduced himself. David, what's your name? And I gave him the whole disclaimer again. And oh my gosh, lovely. These are such lovely people. They are such lovely people. I love the tangent that I'm going on right now. We're supposed to be talking about Thunderbolts, but listen, such lovely people. Okay? I am a sucker for a name compliment. Hear me? Because I did not hear it often growing up. And so to this day, if somebody tells me, oh, your name's so pretty, oh, your name's so easy to say, oh my gosh, that's so unique, oh my gosh, I love that, I'm a slut. Anyway, he goes, what's your name? Say, it's Trabrille. And much like Jimmy, he repeated it back to me effortlessly. He goes, Trabrille. I say, yeah. I said, that's not difficult to say. Your name's Trabrille. I say, yeah. I say, come here. And he gave me a big old hug. He was so sweet. He's also a person that hugs with their entire body. And to get 2 of those hugs back to back, could have cried, but I didn't. I held it together as one does. And keep in mind, this is before me going to acting school. I hadn't decided I wanted to be an actor at this point. I just really love the art of it all. We talked about this last episode. I love I love TV shows. I love plays. I just love it all. That's my, the person that always knows the name of some random actor. You could be watching a movie and then someone like, oh, here go me. Yeah, that's so and so. Bitch, how the fuck you know that? It's because I love acting, and I'm such a nerd. And if I see somebody, I'm like, that's a good one. Let me find out. So that was my meeting, David Harbour, that I will always cherish, and I always bring it up because and listen, and Jimmy Simpson as well, because they were so sweet. Um, I love them, and I'm manifesting we meet again on set where we're all acting. Anywho, let's move on to talk about some more characters. Okay, now, Lewis Pullman, sweetie. I was always familiar with your game. I was always familiar with your game. I was familiar. Just get that on record. I knew. I knew. I said, yeah. Yeah. He got it. First of all, I was obsessed with when Top Gun Maverick came out. I was absolutely obsessed with it. Never mind the fact that it was a movie with a bunch of hot men. My reason for seeing Top Gun Maverick was initially, I was obsessed with Miles Teller for a minute. Like obsessed to where I'm the type to, I see an actor, I get obsessed with an actor, and so naturally I have to watch every single project that actor has been in. Miles Teller was one of those. This was like, I want to say right before Whiplash came out, where I got like super obsessed with him. And so I had seen everything. No, this was like right after Whiplash. So I had seen everything Miles Teller had been in. And naturally, and I still love him as an actor, so he was the main reason why he was the main reason why I wanted to watch Top Gun Maverick. Of course I'd seen Top Gun because there are just a bunch of movies that you have to see if you're going to school to study acting for film. And so yeah, that was part of the curriculum. Anyway, I was also super excited to see Greg Tarzan Davis because I grew up on Vine. And I was like, oh my God, I know him. Yes, what are you doing here? Stay here. Stay a while. Love him. I fell in love with Miles Teller again after this movie. And this is so funny because when I was in the military, I worked in the air wing. And so I worked with pilots, and I absolutely hated them with a fiery passion. I hated pilots because they're just fucking know-it-alls. They think they know everything because of their college degree. It's just like, you're book smart, babe, but that's about it. Okay, they're just so insufferable. And then men in the military period, I just couldn't stand them. You know what I mean? But my oh my, were those fictional pilots hotties. It was a good movie though, but I do stick around for the eye candy. And I noticed Bob. I said, who is that? Who's that guy? And of course, I hit up good old Google. Lewis Pullman. You don't say. His father's Bill Pullman? Are you kidding me right now? And they look just alike. Dear Lord. I think the older he gets, the more, like, in Thunderbolts, Jesus. I was like, dang. You look just like your daddy. I can say that because I get told the same exact thing, except I'm a girl, so it's worse. You look just like your daddy. Ugliest shit ever. Anyway, he's not ugly, but it's weird being a girl and being told you look just like your daddy. Fun fact, my mother's ex-husband's name is also Robert Reynolds. They called him Bobby. Anyway, this is information you don't need. You do not need any of this info, but I'm telling you anyway. You're welcome. Okay. Please do not park in front of my window. Thank you. A lot of the delivery trucks would just park right in front of my window and they just take away all the good natural light. And I'm just like, please don't do this. Not today. Not when I need it. Who is stomping like that? I absolutely hate it here. I need to make some good money so I can get my deluxe apartment in the sky high. Okay, so yes, we're talking about Bob. I hope that baby got some counseling. We're talking about Bob. I always think how interesting, how fun, how terrifying it must be to uh, be in a project to where you have to kind of play two different characters or two different sides of the same character, right? I think about James McAvoy in Split. Holy shit, please. Girl, we'll probably talk about that too because, oh, good God. In there, I imagine the places you have to tap into to really break apart that shadow side. That is a very difficult part of yourself to tap into. And I know a lot of acting is make believe, but a lot of that you are taking a piece of yourself. It's not easy, you feel me? I think it helps. At least for me, it helps sometimes. But I think it's very important to leave it where it's at. And meeting your shadow self is a very difficult thing. I think Marvel executed it very well, though. I think for a lot of people, it takes years to confront their shadow selves because a lot of people just are not ready to do that. It took me years, and I think having someone, I think the overall message of like being alone is such a it's very hard because I feel like a lot of us have been through points in our lives where we just felt utterly alone and there was no one around to kind of like say that I'm here, you know. And you never know who you can turn to in situations like that, you know what I mean? And so it's very easy to allow that shadow self to take the reins and to just stuff everything in and not have to think about it. It's very unhealthy. Very, very unhealthy. And I think it's very beautiful I think how effortless they all came together to help one another was wild. I think they all kind of recognized very quickly that they were all kind of fucked up in some way. And that's how they related to one another. And it wasn't going to get better until they all band together. And it was like I said, it was very effortless. And it could all be so simple, right? But we live in a world where a lot of us are selfish and in our own heads about our own shit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going through this, I don't have time for that. You know what I mean? And that's cool. We all going through shit, and it's so important to have community. And so I think Lewis did so well portraying Bob, the fractured person that he is. And you can still see that hope in his eyes, but also you can see it also being clouded by just such despair. And he's just like, but you can see the hope. Like whenever Yelena spoke to him, you can see it flicker. The eyes are so important when it comes to acting. The eyes are so important. It's not enough to just say the words. It's not enough to memorize the words. It's not enough to just do shit that you think would work here. I have to be able to look at the screen and to look you in your eyes and to see what I'm not hearing. I need to see that backstory from you. That's why I think acting is so cool. Acting is such it's such an art. It's the coolest thing ever. Oh my god. It's so dope. And so that is my advice to you, any actors out there. Keep in mind that when the audience is looking at you through a screen, they're looking at you in your eyes. Because if you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it. It is not enough to just memorize some shit and say, here you go. I said that well, didn't I? Okay, it's not enough. And then we started talking about this. I think Hollywood's kind of getting away from it, but for a really long time, Hollywood was so hell bent on casting people just for popularity. Oh my gosh, they have millions of followers. The kids love them. They can't even act. All they doing is just memorizing some lines, baby. It's not enough. And how disrespectful to the art. And you have all these actors who put in the work. And it's wild that you get asked your social media and how many followers you have just to be able to audition for a role. That's and then we meet Century and first of all, before we see that split between Bob and Century, that blonde hair, baby, Valentina, don't do that again. Don't do that again. Well, we're gonna have a problem. Don't do that again. Okay. And very wild and irresponsible to take such a broken man and to give him all those powers and to not think something was gonna go wrong. Are you kidding me right now? Are you joking me right now? Be so for real. If for you to get so giddy when you find out that, oh my gosh, he survived. Girl, it's the recipe for disaster, sister. Don't do that again. You need not have those powers in your hand ever. Because, baby, you don't know what's going on. That's the wrong person to get those powers to. Bless him. Oh, Jesus. No. But that's, oh gosh, that, and I'm all over the place right now, but things will get better, I swear, once I get used to speaking into a microphone to no one in particular. Yet, things will get better, I swear. Excuse me. To have them all come together for Bob, that I sobbed. Okay, I sobbed because, like I said, it's so easy to allow that void to take the reins. It's so easy to just push everything down, and to not have to confront it, to not have to say, yeah, this is a problem and I need to fix it. It's so easy to just let shit be. And that's why I think it's a support system is so very important. And I do recognize that not everyone has that, and a lot of times you do have to rely on yourself, which I don't think is fair. Like, what kind of world do we live in, right? But to have, for his whole life, right, we see that he did not have anybody to keep him safe. And as he got older, he turned to things that allowed him to escape. Yeah, that's what we all do, right? Even going as far as to, put himself in the situation that he's in now. You know what I mean? Not knowing really what he was doing. You know what I mean? All to just run away from some shit, yeah. And I truly, like, upon meeting Bob, I still didn't know what the freak I was getting. I was like, what's going on with this kid? You know what I mean? But to know that that's truly who that kid is, Who he was throughout the whole film until until he let that void win. Um, and how easy it is to allow everybody else to be in their own misery just because you're in your own misery. And so you think, oh, misery loves company, right? Because that's what the void was doing. It's just fucking forcing everybody to relive the most horrible memories of their life because he can't escape his. What the hell did that little girl do? Anyway, Jesus. You know what character I truly enjoy even before this? John Walker. I think Wyatt Russell does so well at that character. I didn't know what I was getting. I was like, Hanson, who? He does so well in that. He does such a good job at forcing people to hate the fuck out of him. And again with the eyes, I keep telling y'all it's so important because when we find out that his family left him, you can see it in his eyes. You can see the break in the man in his eyes. Acting is so fucking cool. And I recognize I'm all over the place, but listen, things will get better because I don't know what I'm doing. And a lot of times I don't know how to put my thoughts into words, into like full sentences. A lot gets jumbled up in my head. And I guess this too is a way for me to help with that. And so a lot of times you'll hear me just jump around or I jump to another thing because it just pops in my head. And a lot of times you'll hear me pause because I just don't know how to put it in a sentence. So if you're still here after all this time, thanks. I saw a video saying that they would have loved to see what Bucky saw. In the end, when they were like in the void, I too would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see more Ghost, even though she kind of just like tells you the shit that she went through. But I don't really know who the fuck she is. And I think she's such an interesting character. Now keep in mind, I feel like all of the actors did such a good job. I think they all did so fucking well. I think they all worked well together. I think they all did their due diligence. I think it's so responsible for every person to take their job seriously because I have been in situations where I was the only one who took their fucking job seriously. And it's very hard to try and carry a project when you have someone giving you absolutely nothing. I think that's why it goes so hard for like movies and film and shit, because it's not enough to have one good actor. It's great. Oh, that bitch carried that scene. Yeah, she carried that whole movie. Hell yeah. Florence Pugh and Don't Worry Darling, she carried the motherfucking movie. Would have loved to have seen more of Kiki Lane, but she fucking carried my friend. Anyway, it's that's not why I watch these things. Yeah, to see one actor. I watch to see everybody. You know what I mean? And I think they all did so well of putting this together. I think Marvel did a kick-ass job. I told you I was not expecting this. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month. Okay? This shit, these are the projects that get me excited to continue to keep going, to continue to hone in on my craft, of seeing actors. I love seeing actors do their homework. I love seeing actors taking it seriously while also having fun, because yeah, you're supposed to have fun at your job. You know what I mean? But also not just throwing a character away. I don't want to watch a movie and then I'm hearing all your interviews and you don't really give a shit. No, what do you mean? Tell me your character's backstory. What'd you make up in your mind? What other shit that we don't know about that you made up in your mind that this character went through, or this album that this character loves, or what's a poem this character, keeps tucked in their left pocket. What's their favorite song, or what freaking routine do they go through every day before, they go out and save the day, or what mantra do they chant to themselves when they get a little nervous or they think they can't do it. Those shit that you just come up with that no one else knows. My first time doing something like that was, I cannot remember the play's name. It was a scene in the play. I fucking forgot. Please, it's been years. It was set in the 20s, I believe, and I played a wife. And in the scene, it was myself, and the other character was a younger woman, more beautiful, who was getting all the attention of my husband. Ow. And my teacher, bless her, oh my goodness, I had some of the best teachers. My favorite teachers were my acting teachers, 26, 27, 28 years old. Those are my favorite teachers. And she was one of those teachers that took her job very seriously. She took the craft very seriously. She could be very strict, and a lot of students did not like that because she didn't play the radio. And I don't know if it's because of how I grew up or in the military, or a combination of both, but I understood her and I loved her for it. Anyway, she suggested that we find a song that could basically set us up for the scene, a song that put us in the mindset of that character. And to this day, I absolutely adore that song. I love that song. I play that song all the time. It's a Billie Holiday song, and it's called Lover Man. Go listen to that. I will not be singing it because your girl, she does not have a great singing voice, but I fell in love with Billie Holiday the day that I found that song, and I love that song because that song resonates in more ways than one. And that is when it became very apparent to me how important it was to humanize your character, to find ways to help you step into that role. And so I'm always interested in the things that actors have done to humanize that character, to aid them into being able to step into that role. I think I heard somewhere when they were shooting, we're gonna talk about that later. Because we've already been here for like 30 minutes, and unfortunately I do have to go to work. I do have to get ready and go to work. That either. But it's been great. I feel like I was all over the place. I did write notes down to follow, but then I gave up on writing the notes to follow my little outline. I was like, which I'll probably do a much better job at this next go round. But I was just so excited because I didn't think I could do this. I was so confused. I was like, girl, this is a lot. What are we doing right now? But it was either now or never. I needed to hurry up. I needed to do it, or else I was gonna just be questioning myself over and over again. And I think y'all know how that is. So we're gonna get into it. And I thank y'all so much for being here. This is longer than my first video. It was just an intro, and it was just like 10 minutes. I think this one is like over 30. But that's cool, right? Whatever. Thanks for being with me. And then next time we're going to talk about The Other Place with Emma Darcy. I love them wholeheartedly with everything in me. And so we're going to talk about The Other Place and get into it. They are phenomenal. The entire cast was phenomenal. I need y'all to know this. I am just so in love with Emma Darcy. They are so freaking talented, and they were the whole reason why I wanted to watch that play. If you don't have National Theater at home, babes, get it. Get it. Theater is such a entirely different ball game. Let me go, cause my upstairs neighbors is. It was nice talking to y'all. Thank y'all for being with me, and I'm gonna see y'all next time. Okay, well, we'll talk about the other place. We're gonna nerd out some more, and remember, it's Trabrille. Trabrille. It's very easy to say. Don't you forget that, okay? Next time, you better know. All right? I'll see y'all next time. Love you. Bye.